Now that you've created your InQsit set of questions and you've exported them out of InQsit, you're ready to launch them inside your Blackboard. This will just take a few steps to move these questions into Blackboard and easily generate a Blackboard test. The first thing you want to do, what I've already done, is open up the Blackboard course where I want to make this test. Once inside my Blackboard site, I'll go down here to Course Tools and click to expand the list. Now I see all the options of tools that I have, and you should see Test Surveys and Pools. Click on Test Surveys and Pools. On this screen, I have three options. Today, we're going to make a test, so we want to click Tests. What I have is not actually a test, it's a set of questions. So I don't want to import a test today. I want to build a new test. This is going to create the container where the test will be. It's called the test canvas. So build a new test, and I have to name it. The fictional test that I exported was an ISOM test, so that's why I'm making this my new ISOM test. Here I can put my description. You can always skip this part, but I recommend doing it right off the bat. That way you have it so that when you are ready to deploy the test, you don't have to do as much work. You can add any questions. And then when you're ready, click Submit. You always want to submit because that will save your work and allow you to go to the next portion of building the test and the next screen in Blackboard. Here I want to upload questions. That's what I have as a set of questions, so I'm ready to do that. And now I browse to find the file that I saved. At this point, I will also set the default points per question. If individual questions are worth more points, you can always change that later. 10 points seems like a lot to me, so I'm going to set it for 2 points per question. If I want to change some question points again, I can do that once I go into the test canvas. And now I will click Submit. There's a good chance you may see some parse errors. Be sure to note these and look back at the printout you made earlier from your test. That way you'll know which ones might need to be fixed manually. It's a lot easier than writing each question by hand, however. Click OK to go back to the test canvas. And now I have all the questions. The ones that I needed to add back in, I can create a new question. Answer those, put them in. I know what they are because I still have the printout to look back at. For now though, I'm going to decide that this is okay. The next thing I want to do is change the question settings. I want to make sure that these come out exactly how I want them to. Do I want to provide feedback? Do I want to add images, files, and web links? Default point value, here it says 10. I'm going to make it 2 again. You have a lot of options. Random ordering of answers. You can add that in later. I'm just going to submit for now. As you can see, it's very easy to customize the test however you would like for it to be. Once I'm happy with how my test canvas looks, I'm ready to deploy my test. I decide which content area I would like for my test to live in. In this case, I've made one called Test. Once I'm inside this content area, I can hover over Assessments, and as you see, another menu falls down. I'm going to select Test. And all the tests that I have as options are here in my existing test list. So I want to select New ISOM Test. That's the one I just made. And I submit it. This should look familiar. It's similar to the question settings, but these are the options for this particular time that I've deployed the test. As you can see, my description has showed up again. My instructions. I'd like the students to see the instructions, so I'm going to click this. If you are wanting students to take the test in a lab, you do not want to open the test in a new window. Make sure you say no if you'd like to use Respondus Lockdown Browser and open it in a lab. If you're ready for students to see the test right now, click yes to make the link available. If you're not ready yet, click no. You have all of your options that you can set, timers, forced completions. You also can decide what dates you want the test to be open, and then you don't have to go in manually and make it available and unavailable. I'm going to set this up because I don't want to do this manually. I want it to display for a week. If you are wanting students to use Lockdown Browser and take the test in a lab, do not set a password. If you have any exceptions, you can put these in here. You want to make certain that you include the test in Grade Center score calculations. That way you can see the student scores afterwards, and so can they. By default, this will be checked. You can also decide how you want students to see the questions. Do you want to see them all at one time, like you would on a regular paper test? Do you want them to click through one question at a time? A note of caution though, there's a temptation to click the back button if they can't backtrack. This will exit them from the test completely. So if you're going to have them see the questions one at a time and you want to prohibit backtracking, just warn students ahead of time. You also can randomize your questions. This is nice because every time the students take the test, each student will see a different order of questions. It's kind of a nice security feature. I will randomize my questions today. And click Submit. And here's my test. It's gray because it's not available yet to students. If I want them to take it in the lab, I'll want to turn on Respondus Lockdown Browser. This means that they can only take it in the lab. To do this, I go back to this tool menu I had before, and I'll click on Respondus Lockdown Browser. And here I see all the tests that I have. The one I just made is called My New ISOM Test, and right now, Lockdown Browser is not required. If I want to turn that on, I click this little arrow with the lines, this button right here, and I modify the settings. I would like to require Respondus Lockdown Browser. At this point, you can set a password, but it's really kind of unnecessary since it's in a lab environment. Save and close. Now students will only be able to take the test in the lab using Respondus Lockdown Browser. Additionally, it will only be available to them during the times that you specified. So now you've gone from InQsit to Blackboard in a usable form for students. Thanks so much for watching this video.